Welcome in. What's Right with Nick Wright, episode 278. Damonza and the producers worried that I was so quiet in the pre-show run-up. Bill Barnwell just dropped an opus, as he is wont to do, and the headline of it is, can the Chiefs go undefeated? How they're winning, what's next? And, it's a Barnwell article, so it's just great. It's all different sections. And the different sections are how the Chiefs have gotten here. I've read that part. Is their start actually sustainable? I just read that part. And I just got to this section. Are they the worst 9-0 team ever? And I got irrationally angry before even reading it. And so I haven't gotten to the other sections, what has sunk the previous unbeaten teams, and will the Chiefs improve and go 17-0? I'll get to that, but Barnwell's articles are like 4,000 or 5,000 words, so you really got to sink your teeth into them. So that's why I was so quiet in the pre-show run-up. Is I was trying to get through as much of this as I could before because I know Chiefs Bills game of the year, 4:25 CBS, and no counter programming. There's not another CBS game, and there's not another 4:25 game. So I don't want to step on our A block, but at this weekend slate, starting tonight, there are some A-plus games. Commanders, Eagles, NFC East, leadership on the line. 1 p.m. Sunday, some good games, and one A-plus game. Ravens, Steelers. Listen, I'm a Fox guy, but shout out CBS. Going from Ravens, Steelers at 1 to then Chiefs, Bills at 4:25. Pretty sick. And the only other 4 o'clock games, Falcons, Broncos, which will be watched by dozens and dozens of people, and Seahawks, Niners, which is not a bad one. Seahawks, Niners is actually a good game, but those are both 4:05 starts. And so the nation's eyes are going to be on Mahomes and Allen. I would imagine this will be the highest rated non-Thanksgiving regular season game of the year. And I can't wait for it. So we'll get to that in a moment. First, what missed the cut? In surprising absolutely no one, Anthony Richardson back being the Colts starter. Poor Jalen Rose relives the Fab Five 30-plus years later. The timeout they didn't have when Spo called that when he was sitting courtside. And Jake Paul, only a 2-1 favorite against Mike Tyson. I don't want to spend a ton of time on this. Listen, I'm rooting for Tyson. I'm not really a Jake or Logan Paul guy. You call it my age, whatever it is. I'm not into their brands. But I'm worried about Tyson. I'm shocked Jake Paul's only a 2-1 favorite. Tyson's older than Brew. Tyson's damn near 60. And I just don't know if he's going to have enough. Go ahead.
Okay. Oh, okay.
I just don't know if he'll be able to keep up. And so nothing would thrill me more than for a Mike Tyson flurry to lay Jake Paul out. I just don't think it's realistic, but I would have thought Jake Paul was going to be minus 350. So the fact that he's minus 210 means Vegas is saying Tyson has a chance. Also, if you're wondering, as Damonza was, if you're watching on YouTube, why I'm wearing a hat today when I never wear a hat on the pod, no TV show today. We're preempted by a soccer match. We'll be back tomorrow. And so since there's no TV show, I don't have to do my hair. I don't have to do my hair. I can wear my Royals hat. Shout out Bobby Witt Jr. I don't even know if the voting has come out yet, but second in AL MVP voting, I'm sure of it. All right, Damonza, let's get to Chiefs Bills.
Yeah, so we talked about how on Tuesday it's crazy that the Bills were favored in this Chiefs game that's coming up here soon. And America clearly agrees. The books have 80% of the money on the Chiefs plus 2.5. Yet the line is still staying there. So does Vegas know something that we don't?
Well, so the Sharps like the Bills, and the Sharps don't like the Chiefs in this spot. And so I understand that to a degree in this regard. the Chiefs' metrics are not overly impressive. They're on the road. The Bills, this is a bigger game for Buffalo than Kansas City. The Bills have won the Bills have won 3 of the 4 regular season meetings between Mahomes and Allen. So all those things. And if you remember, Damonza, before the year, when I picked the Chiefs to go 14-3, the one specific game I said I thought they would lose was this game.
Yeah, you did.
I said I thought they would
Multiple times.
lose one divisional game, one dumb game, like to the Browns or the Panthers, one dumb game, and to the Bills in Orchard Park in Week 11. That's what I said. I don't quite feel the same way right now. And the reason is multi-layered. One is I really do think the Chiefs got a real emotional boost from the way they beat Denver. And while they won't talk about it, I do think the whole "can we go undefeated" is a thing. Also, given how the offense looked in that Denver game, now Denver's got an excellent defense. I give them credit. It did feel to me like I had said leading into the Denver game, I thought might be the case, that some of Kansas City's focus last week was on the Broncos and some of it was on preparing for Buffalo. Because if the Chiefs win this game, they essentially lock up the 1 seed unless you think Pittsburgh's running the table, which I don't think anybody thinks Pittsburgh's running the table. Hell, Pittsburgh's an underdog this weekend to Baltimore. If the Chiefs win this game, in order for Baltimore or Buffalo or Houston to catch them for the 1 seed, the Chiefs would have to go 3-4 the rest of the way, and any of those teams would have to go undefeated. Think about that. For the Chiefs for any of those teams to catch Kansas City would have to lose 4 times, and those teams would have to go undefeated. That is not going to happen. Now, conversely, if the Chiefs lose to Buffalo, then all Buffalo has to do is finish with the same record as Kansas City, because they would have the tiebreaker. And they would be sitting at 2 losses and Kansas City would be sitting at 1. So it would be a real dogfight for the 1 seed potentially if Kansas City loses, as opposed to putting it away. The other reason that I am not quite as bullish on Buffalo right now as I was in the preseason for this matchup is who is injured and what it means for them. So we know Keon Coleman isn't playing. Okay, that's fine. We don't know if Amari Cooper is or isn't playing. My guess is Amari Cooper is going to play. But Dalton Kincaid has not practiced yet this week. The one spot on the Chiefs' defense that has been really susceptible is defending tight ends. So if Kincaid is out for Buffalo, that is a huge loss for them. And the Chiefs can have 2 things right now they're struggling at. The left tackle position, which is a legitimate concern, but Wanya Morris luckily practiced in full yesterday. Kingsley Suamataia, the rookie, is just not ready, so he should be back. He left last week's game with injury. And then defending tight ends has been a bit of a problem. If Dalton Kincaid's out, that's a tough spot for Buffalo. So I have been consistently respectful and consistently correct about the Bills this year. Wilds yesterday said to me that my Bills opinion's confusing the audience because I've been such a Bills skeptic in years past, and this year I'm a Bills believer. and I somewhat annoyedly said to Wilds, my Bills' opinion is not confusing at all. It's very, very simple. It's correct. Consistently, year over year. When other people thought they were a Super Bowl team, I was correct in saying you're overrating them. And when other people thought the Jets were going to win that division, I've been correct in saying they're underrating them. I think the Bills right now have an argument right alongside Detroit as the second best team in the league. I do think that. Now, Baltimore is a weird one because Baltimore beat Buffalo by 25, but Baltimore also, to me, has a glaring weakness. That pass defense is awful. I don't think Buffalo has a glaring weakness. And so I think Buffalo's really good. But Patrick Mahomes as an underdog is 12-1-1 against the spread and 11-3 straight up. This is a huge game for Kansas City, and it allows them to really kind of play with how they approach the final 7 weeks of the year. I don't think the offense is happy with how they played last week. Buffalo, in my opinion, is due for a bit of a poor offensive performance. They've scored 30-plus in 4 straight games. I thought last week against the Colts that they had some shaky moments, but Joe Flacco made it to where that was not going to matter. He was just addicted to turning the ball over in that game. I thought Buffalo played with fire a couple weeks ago against Miami. I do like the Chiefs in this spot, even though all offseason I said this was a game I thought the Chiefs would lose. I think the emotional boost that they got from the blocked field goal to go along with Mahomes being annoyed that he missed Kelsey to win that game outright, essentially put the game away. All of those things to me go in the Chiefs' favor. Go ahead, Damonza.
I feel like I'm surprised. Well, I'm not feel like I'm surprised, but I am surprised that you're going in the opposite direction. You felt like the Bills were going to win this game, the Chiefs were going to lose this game the whole time. And then it gets to the time, and they're coming off of that emotional upside, and I feel like that's more of a reason that they should lose because they did just block a field goal to win the game. And it's like,
yeah, unless it's kind of like a team of destiny feel.
Sorry.
And
preparation.
No,
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying, but it was such a, Mahomes' celebration in that was telling to me. Like the way he ran onto the field and was so excited that was, because the Chiefs, let's be honest, they could have afforded to lose that game. Like, it's not like the division comes into question. It's not like they'd be like, hype. Oh, man, what woe is us. He was hype, which makes me think, even though they won't talk about it, that they want to see how far they can run up this win streak. And I also think that they are going to be able to score some points on this Bills defense, which has been good, to their credit. Hey, listen, the Bills defense has been good, but the Chiefs have not allowed 28 points in, what is it now? 30 straight games since the Super Bowl against Philadelphia. And I wouldn't be shocked if Kansas City gets to 27 in this one, 28 themselves. So I'm going to go ahead and say 27 Chiefs. Let me think of the right number for Buffalo. 23 Buffalo, and the Chiefs win by 4 and get to 10-0, and Buffalo falls to 8-3. All right, next.
So tonight's game is huge for your season-long bets. You bet Washington to win that division, and you also bet Philly under 10.5 wins. So
that
Philly
one's not
also
looking great. Yeah,
I was going to say, but Philly last year lost 5 of their last 6. Do you see that happening again, or is it more likely that they expose the Commanders tonight?
Well, I don't think Philly's going to collapse, and I've got to give Philly credit where it's due. They've won 5 consecutive games. Now, 4 of those 5 have been against truly dreadful teams, Browns, Giants, Jags, Cowboys, but one of them was a dominating second-half performance against Cincinnati. And the way they obliterated Dallas, Cooper Rush threw for 40 yards is impressive. And that defense has turned a corner under Fangio. And so, listen, Jalen Hurts has been good on the big plays. They're letting him run a little more again. He seems healthier. I have to be fair. I picked Philly to miss the playoffs. Right now, that looks super shaky. I said Philly, I thought that Sirianni could have been fired during the year. That's not going to happen. With that said, Philly is about to have five of their next six brutal spot. Like, you're playing some real teams now. Commanders, Rams, Ravens, Panthers, Steelers, Commanders. So that's 5 games of your next 6 against 7-win teams plus the Rams, who I think are a good team, even though they haven't played quite up to that standard. The Commanders thing, I don't think the Commanders are going to get exposed. Here is my slight concern. Throughout Cliff Kingsbury's entire coaching career, at Texas Tech, at Arizona, everywhere, his offenses have gotten off to these excellent starts and then cooled significantly. And a few weeks ago against Chicago, 18 points. The last couple weeks, they've scored 27. Jaden, however, this past week was the worst game I think he's played this season, the game against Pittsburgh. And that 27, they had the Steelers did that ridiculous fake punt, and they had some short fields. So I'm a little concerned, not major, a little concerned that Washington is going to cool off offensively, as Cliff Kingsbury teams historically have done. And I will be, for my bets and for my own, priors, rooting for Washington tonight, Damonza. But I actually like Philly in this spot. I hope Washington wins, but I can see a scenario, certainly, where Philly beats Washington and covers the 3.5. Washington will be fine either way, because after this, they get Cowboys, Titans, Saints. So, they have 4 games left against the Cowboys, Titans, and Saints because they play the Cowboys twice. So, since they already have 7 wins, Washington, to me, is like almost locked into the postseason. But tonight's game is the kind of divisional swing game. If Washington wins tonight, they are, in my opinion, a significant favorite to win the division. If Washington loses tonight, it feels like Philly is probably going to take care of that division, take that division, and that'll be a shame for my preseason gambling, because Washington 11-1 was going to be one of my best preseason divisional picks, and if Philly wins tonight, it's a bad spot for me. Go ahead. Looks like you wanted to say something.
Commanders are probably the most complete of teams that the Philadelphia Eagles would have faced on this run. No, they did just face the Cowboys. They dominated them. But Cooper Rush was the quarterback,
you're absolutely right.
That one's got like a little bit of an asterisk on it.
No. You're 100% right. Like, as far as on this run, they've played, the Eagles have played the Browns with Deshaun starting, the Giants, the Bengals, who have just a dreadful defense. Not that the Commanders' defense is great, but it's not the Bengals.
Burrow, but that team's not complete. Yeah.
Right, exactly. The Jags, who's got one of the worst defenses in the league in the game. I think that was the game Trevor got hurt in. And then the Cowboys with Cooper Rush. And so, yes, there's no question that this is the best team Philly has played by a lot since week 1 in Brazil against Green Bay. Like, the Eagles this year have played, I think, 4 good to very good teams. The Bengals, I think, are good even though their record isn't. And they, it was 17-17. Philly scored 20 straight. Give them credit. The Bucks, when the Bucks were fully healthy and the Bucks trashed them. The Falcons, which came down, if you remember, that was the game Saquon dropped the ball. And the Falcons, when they, on the little swing pass. And the Packers in week 1 in Brazil. But so I still, though, I'm not putting any asterisks on it because you got to take care of business. And Philly looked really shaky that first month. They beat the Packers. Then they blew the Falcons game. The Saints had them dead to rights in week 3. And then Goddard got loose on like a 70-yard little tight end leak play up the sideline. There's no Saints defender within a mile, and that won them that game. And then they got blown out by Tampa. And then the Browns game, that was the game that they escaped, and Sirianni was yelling at his own fans against the terrible Browns. But since then, beat the Giants by 25, beat the Bengals by 20, beat the Jaguars by 5, but they were up 12 with 5 minutes left. Jags got a late backdoor touchdown, and beat the Cowboys by 28. So if you're going to play bad teams, crush them. That's what they've been doing, and I give them credit for that. I'm very interested to see. The other thing to watch tonight is Jaden going to run? Because, and I understand this is me, maybe confirmation bias, because I was so worried about Jaden's health. But since Jaden got those ribs cracked, he hasn't been the same runner. And last week he ran the ball 3 times for 5 yards. So I'm really interested in watching that. Also, the Eagles' 2 rookie secondary players, Quinion Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, have been excellent. They've both been, the last few weeks in particular, have been excellent. So shout out to them. All right, next.
Cincinnati was one of the teams you had in the conversation for the AFC 7 seed. You said this on Tuesday. But they're flying across country to face Justin Herbert and the Chargers, and that defense has been allowing 13 points per game. So
it's
the Bengals lose.
How good that defense has been.
Yeah, that's insane. But if the Bengals lose, is their season over? And if so, what else changes for them?
So I oddly don't think the Bengals season is over with a loss. And I know that sounds crazy because they would be 4-7. But this is the reason for this, Damonza, is that the 7 AFC playoff teams, like if the Bengals lose, that would mean the Chargers get to 7 wins. And you would have essentially 6 of your 7 AFC teams locked, as we talked about. Kansas City, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Houston, Baltimore, the Chargers. All those teams would have 7+ wins except for Houston, which is in the AFC South. So they have 6 wins, but they're fine because of their division. That 8th spot, Denver is sitting on 5 wins. The Colts and Bengals are sitting on 4 wins. And then your 2, Miami, the Jets, the Patriots, who have 3 wins. One of those teams is getting in. And so even at 4-7, I would think the Bengals are alive when, they would, at some point they got to win games, but they still have games left against Dallas, Tennessee, the Browns, a game against the Broncos that could be for the final playoff spot, and 2 games, and this is important, against the Steelers. I want to talk more about the Chargers, however, because the Chargers, to me, have been an awesome story, and Herbert's playing really well, and that defense has been great. With that said, they have played 3 teams that we think are good, and they're 0-3, and they have played 6 of their 7 other games are maybe the 6 worst teams in football. And then the other one is they beat the Broncos, who's like the definition of league average. So their losses are Pittsburgh, Kansas City, Arizona. So 3 teams that are all division leaders right now. Their wins, Raiders, Panthers, Saints, Browns, Titans, plus Denver. And again, give them credit for Denver. That was a road divisional victory. Give them credit. I am really interested in what the Chargers are going to look like over these next half dozen games. Cincy, Baltimore, Atlanta, Kansas City again, and then Tampa with Mike Evans back at that point before they finish the season. Broncos, Patriots, Raiders. But if you remember before the year, when we picked the Chargers to make the playoffs, one of the reasons we picked them was they had that last place schedule. They had a worse record last year than the Raiders or the Broncos did. That's how they were able to draft Joe Alt with the fifth overall pick, I think it was. They were a 4-win team last year. And so they've reaped those rewards. And 13 points a game is 13 points a game. I mean, the Chargers, here's what they have allowed this season. 10, 3, 20, 17, 16, 17, 8, 10, 17. That's awesome, man. Like, that is, they have, of opening the season with 9 straight games, not allowing 21 points is literally historic stuff. Like, I don't think it's been done in 20 years. And so you give them a ton of credit. I think this is a coin flip game. This is not one of my picks. I don't think Cincinnati's got traveling fans. Usually LA home games are actually road games because the other team travels. I don't think the Bengals are a big national fan base. But that's, Sunday football, man. Like I was saying, Steelers, Ravens at 1, Chiefs, Bills at 4:30, Bengals, Chargers at 8:20 on NBC, which should be a really fun one. That one's too close to call, in my opinion, but I think that I give the Chargers a ton of credit, but I also need to see them beat some teams with a pulse, which we're yet to see, but they haven't had to really. Go ahead. What's your next question?
Does the Bengals win there and them eventually going on to lock up that 7 seed? Is that a nightmare scenario for you in Kansas City?
So, a lot of people think that because the scenario obvious would be the Bengals are the 7, they then upset the 2 seed in round 1, and then they would be playing the 1 seed. Like, if the 7 seed wins in round 1, they play the 1 seed because the NFL reseeds. And my answer to that is no, it wouldn't be. Because, first of all, that would mean the Bengals clip Buffalo in round 1. Who's the 2 seed? Is it going to be Buffalo? Is it going to be Baltimore? I guess if it's Pittsburgh, I'd probably rather Pittsburgh go ahead and move on. Yeah. But at that point, if Pittsburgh's earned the 2 seed, it means Pittsburgh's beaten Baltimore at least once. Pittsburgh's beaten, it means Pittsburgh's a pretty damn good team. And TJ Watt against the Chiefs left tackle is not a scenario that I look forward to. So yes, obviously, I'd rather as a Chiefs fan, the Colts get the 7 seed and win in round 1. But the 2 seed getting eliminated is typically not bad for the 1 seed Super Bowl chances. And so I don't hate the idea of a Bengals team that maybe has to win 4 straight just to make the playoffs, does that, then has a crazy emotional road playoff victory win, and then with the Chiefs having been rested for a couple weeks, comes into Arrowhead with that defense, and the Chiefs, get to knock them around a bit. So no, it's not the ideal scenario, and right. I think it really has to do with who is the 2 seed. If Buffalo is the 2 seed, I'll take Cincinnati as the 7. I love it. To me, that's a win-win. Either Buffalo's got to really expend a lot of emotional and real energy to beat them, or Cincinnati knocks the Bills off for us. Don't even have to deal with them. And so now if somehow Houston is the 2 seed or Pittsburgh is the 2 seed, then I'd rather one of those teams beat Cincinnati.
Of course.
Because I don't think either of those teams are good. Like, the thing about Houston, and I'm not trying to disrespect them, the interior of their offensive line is so bad that I just think that's a game Chris Jones can win by himself. I think when you have the best D tackle in football and you're up against one of the worst guard center guard combos in football, that game can just be over. And so that's CJ Stroud in Arrowhead. Like, that's a tough spot for him. All right, last one.
So the Jets season has been a joy to watch for everyone, especially you, I feel like, but not for Jets fans. When asked if he was coming back to play next year, Rodgers said, "I think so, yeah." So not sure how much to read into that with everything that's gone on with Aaron Rodgers and the Jets this year. What do you think is more likely? He comes back, retires, or the Jets cut him?
So, am I out to lunch on this? That I was shocked? I'm shocked Aaron might want to come back. And I'm even more shocked that there seems to be the general media reaction that the Jets would want him back. In what world is it good for the New York Jets to bring back Aaron Rodgers? Like, Damonza, call me on my shit here if you think I'm being unfair or that I'm missing it. But they're going to be hiring a new head coach. When you're interviewing the best head coaching candidates, do you think saying you'll have one more year of 41-year-old, soon to be 42 at the time, Aaron Rodgers, is a pro or a con as to why that coach would want the job? And if you're trying to build up a culture and a new program, why on earth would you want Aaron Rodgers to be a part of it? And then you add to, that's just the intangible stuff. Then you add this factor, which is, I just think people are living in a make-believe world. He's terrible. He's really bad. Like, he's just as a football player, he's 62% passing, 6.4 yards per attempt, pardon me. He cannot escape at all to save his life. Why would the Jets have, if the speculation is correct and Trump is going to reappoint Woody Johnson to be the ambassador to either England or some other ambassadorship, and Woody has to once again hand over control of the team to his brother Christopher. Woody made this deal with Aaron, not Christopher. Shouldn't Christopher Johnson look at it and be like, we're going to have a top 5 pick, new head coach, new GM. We've got our 3 young guys, Quinnen, Sauce, and Garrett. Devontae, you can go. Aaron, you can go. Tyron Smith, you can go. We're going to start Olu Fashanu, our first-round pick. And we're going to try to be an exciting, fun, young team with Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders or whomever. Like, isn't that the obvious plan? Why would the Jets want Aaron Rodgers back? And you don't owe him anything. It's been an unmitigated disaster. So he can want to come back all he wants. Like, that's a player, in my opinion.
What's just the question from the reporter or the media? The Jets probably don't want him back, right? Like, it was like...
But everybody seems to... The general... I guess this is why I said, am I out to lunch? The general impression that I get from the media is, that covers the team, is this is Aaron's decision. Meaning, if he doesn't retire, he's the Jets quarterback next year. And my response is, him retiring has nothing to do with the fact they've got to cut him. Like, he's a bad, aging, injured, distracted player who has sucked all of the life out of that building. And so, cap-wise, here's the deal. Next year, if he's on the team, it's a $23 million cap hit, and it's $50 million dead if he's not. But you made that deal already. Like, the way his contract is currently set up is if he plays next year, he's $23 million on the cap, and then the following year when he's out of the league, he's $21 million dead in 2026. If they make him a post-June 1 cut, he's $14 million on your cap next year and $35 million on your cap the following year. So by making him a post-June 1 cut, you save $9 million cap dollars for next season, and you lose $12 million cap dollars for 2026. But you just got to deal with it. Like, that's the move. And so I am constantly surprised at how credulous much of the media is with Aaron Rodgers nonsense. And we've never gotten an answer about if he thought they fired Robert Saleh too early, and he claimed to love Robert and have this great relationship. But then I heard him yesterday when he was talking about coming back, talking about how much he loves Ulbrich and wants to play for Ulbrich, which would be a disaster. Like, no disrespect to Jeff Ulbrich, but the defense has been a train wreck since you've been there, and the offense doesn't move. Like, I just think the Jets are going to go 5-12, and to be like, let's run it back is baffling to me. I think this is as obvious of a, hey man, sorry this didn't work out, but we're moving on, as we've ever seen. But maybe I'm wrong. Now, the counterpoint to maybe I'm wrong is I have been right about the Jets every step of the way. So who knows? But this one is confusing to me. Speaking about people being right, Damonza hit a 3-team teaser last week. That means 7 of the last 8 weeks his teaser is hit. I had a winning week, but I thought it was going to be a 5-0 week, and then Sunday Night Football and Monday Night Football both bit me. So 3-0 turned into 3-2. We'll get into all that on the gambling show. By the way, I haven't asked you guys to do this in a very long time, but there's reasons for this. I'm actually kind of doing a bit of an experiment, if you will. If you're not already subscribed on YouTube, subscribe. We haven't done a subscribe push in quite some time. If you're listening to this via podcast, subscribe via Spotify or iTunes or whatever it is, and give us a 5-star rating if you don't mind. Again, I almost never do the like, rate, subscribe thing. I think it probably annoys the bosses or the producers that I don't do this. But I actually want to see since I never do it, if I actually do a call to action, subscribe, if there's something of an impact, or if that's all just wasted time anyway and it's just organically grows however it grows. So on YouTube in particular, if you could subscribe, hit the bell so you get alerted when we go live, that would be awesome. On our RSS feeds on podcasts, if you could subscribe, and if you want to leave us a 5-star review, that would be awesome as well. Our Week 11, I can't believe it's already Week 11, gambling show next. What's right? Welcome back in What's Right with Nick Wright. And real quick, you know how I found out that LeBron had a huge game last night? Because when I woke up this morning, because I didn't watch the game last night, when I woke up this morning and I checked Twitter, there's a whole bunch of Michael Jordan nostalgia and Michael Jordan clips going on, which is the surest fire sign that LeBron must have had a huge night. Third straight triple-double, 35, 12, and 14 for LeBron. Great night in the NBA last night. Wemby goes for 50, his first career 50-point game. Fourth youngest player ever. The youngest ever, Brandon Jennings. Second youngest, of course, Bron. And then Giannis, 59 points to steal a win, escape against Detroit. So awesome night in the NBA. And speaking of the NBA, the Emirates NBA Cup is here. You can win big. Getting in on the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Picture this, all 30 NBA teams battling it out, divided into 6 groups, matchups every Tuesday and Friday, each game pushing them closer to Vegas for the ultimate NBA Cup championship showdown. Catch every play, every nail-biting moment, and check out the latest lines and odds on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Remember, lines and odds are always on the move, so check back often. New to the game? No worries. First-time customers can bet just $5 and get a slam dunk $200 in bonus bets instantly. Score big with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code RIGHT. And actually, just like the subscribe thing I was just talking about, I want to test this out as well. Actually do this for me today. I want to download the Sportsbook app, and when you do it, use my code RIGHT, WRIGHT, if you're a new customer. Code for new customers, get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5 only on DraftKings. The crown is yours again. Promo code RIGHT, WRIGHT. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY, which is 467-369. In Connecticut, help's available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 plus, age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction, void in New Hampshire, Oregon, Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/bball. All right, so Damonza, let's recap my picks from last week. 3-2, 25, 24-1 on the year. Cincinnati +6 against Baltimore on Thursday Night Football. That was a weird one because they were up 21-7. I looked like I was in great shape. Then all of a sudden, with a minute left, they're down 7. And it's like, oh my God, I'm going to lose this. And then score the touchdown, go for 2, lock in the bet. Pittsburgh +3 against Washington. That was another weird one. Pittsburgh dominating that game. And Washington can't move the ball at all. Then they do the fake punt, some other weird stuff. All of a sudden, Washington has a significant lead. But a couple Russell Wilson moonballs later, Pittsburgh wins outright. Arizona +1 against the Jets. That was the definition of not a weird one. Arizona annihilated the Jets. That was the dumbest line of the week. 31-6, I think. Detroit +3.5 at Houston. That would have been stealing if I had won that one. Jared Goff threw 5 picks, but if Jake Bates doesn't hit that field goal at the end, we're going to overtime, and I have a chance for Detroit to win by 6, but I deserve to lose it. And the Rams -1 against Miami. Shout out to Miami's defense for showing more fight than I thought it could. Anti-shout out Sean McVay. I love you, McVay. But kicking a field goal down 11 from the 4-yard line is just coaching malpractice. 6 minutes left in that game. When you kick that field goal, what you're saying is we're going to make the field goal, get a stop, get a score, get the 2-point conversion, win in overtime. That's your path. That's your path. If you go for it, what you're saying is we're going to get these 4 yards, get a stop, get a touchdown, win the game. So you need like a 6-way parlay to come through. When you opt to kick that field goal, all it does is delay your loss. I get it. It's like, well, but if we get stopped on 4th down, we lose the game. Got it. But when you kick the field goal, what you are saying, you need the following to happen. You need to get a stop. You need to go score a touchdown, which you have evidently so little confidence you can do that you are kicking a field goal from the 4-yard line. You then have to complete a 2-point conversion. You then have to win the game in overtime. You need all those things to happen. If you go for it, yes, if you don't get it, you lose. But if you do get it, you need 2 things to happen. You can, and by the way, if you go for it and get it, you can still play the dumb 2-point conversion overtime game, because if you go for it and get it, you're going to go for 2. If you get the 2-point conversion, you're down 3. Now you can do field goal overtime if you want, but a touchdown wins you the game either way. Just stupid, but regardless. Last week, 11 of 14 underdogs covered, which is funny because 2 weeks ago, 14 of the 15, pardon me, of the favorites won straight up. All right, Damonza, first pick, and I know you like this one. I got to think you like this one. Go ahead.
Yeah, you've got Pittsburgh +3. I love it.
Yeah, Pittsburgh +3 at home against Baltimore. I mean, Mike Tomlin as a home dog. Mike Tomlin as a dog. Mike Tomlin as a divisional dog. First of all, in this series, the last 20 years, the underdog, 28-10 against the spread. 28-10-3, so 3 pushes. I mean, if all of these games come down to a field goal, you're giving me a field goal. Tomlin, as a dog, is 20-15 straight up against Harbaugh. Wait, hold on. He hasn't been an underdog 35 times. Okay, yeah, sorry. He's 20-15 straight up as a dog. I was going to say he hasn't been an underdog 35 times against John Harbaugh. That doesn't make sense. And I think Pittsburgh absolutely can win this game outright. We've talked about Tomlin as a dog overall, 62, 35-2. He doesn't cover big numbers, but he absolutely, as a dog, wins outright and covers the spread. And so 15 of their last 18 matchups have been 1-score games. I think Pittsburgh can win, and I think that the Steelers' secondary is going to have a hard time covering George Pickens on those Russell Moon balls. I like the Pittsburgh special teams more. I like the Pittsburgh defense more. Obviously, I like the Baltimore offense way more. But this is a game. TJ Watt's going to be flying around, and this is where I remind everyone, and I understand that we all must kneel at the altar of Lamar Jackson. He's beaten the Pittsburgh Steelers once. Plays him twice a year, theoretically, every year, but he's missed a bunch of them. Lamar Jackson has beaten the Pittsburgh Steelers as a starting quarterback one time in his career. And I think that one game was against Duck Hodges. So the Lamar wins 80% of his games if you remove the games against the Chiefs, the Steelers, and playoff games. So against everyone else, he's as good of a bet as there is. I like the Steelers in this spot, and I've got to think that this game comes down to the final possession, so I'll take the +3 points. All right, Damonza, go ahead.
You got New England +4.5 versus the Rams.
New England +4.5 against. Hold on, real quick before I even do that one. Did you not like my Steelers-Ravens analysis? I saw the look on your face.
No, it just unfortunately it makes sense. Like, I do think Russ is going to be able to light up the secondary. Lamar Jackson's obviously going to do what he wants, but I do think that the Ravens' defense will be the biggest hindrance. I think it's the biggest weakness of the game, and I think it'll come back to bite them. I do think the Ravens are going to win, but I do think it'll be a close game. See them winning by 3. And I could also see them losing, unfortunately. I'm realistic.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough. All right. The Patriots and the Rams. I've got the Patriots plus 4.5. So obviously, I don't think the Patriots are good, and you guys know I like the Rams. So I would understand why this pick seems silly. However, the Rams played on Monday night. They are a West Coast team going cross country. It is a 1 o'clock East Coast start. They are laying, more than a field goal. The Patriots are going to, try to just run Drake May, run Ramondre, not let this game, get into the 20s. The Rams defense has actually, to its credit, been good. The Rams offense is what has struggled as of late. I just think this is a ugly, boring 20-17, 17-14, 21-17 type of game. I think the Rams control the game, but I do not think they run away with it. 4.5 points is just too many points for a Rams team on a short week going West Coast to East Coast for a 1 o'clock kickoff. Patriots feeling great right now, coming off, their best defensive performance of the year. I don't love it. I will be honest. 4 of my 5 picks were easy. And I'm not saying they're going to, none of this is easy, but my point is 4 of the 5 games, I instantly knew what I wanted. And I searched long and hard for a 5th. This was the 5th I landed on, so I don't feel great about it. But I feel like this is the sharp, this is the sharp side of this bet. I just think the Rams haven't earned the right to lay more than a field goal on the road against a team that has shown a pulse, particularly going Monday to Sunday at 1 o'clock. So I'll take the New England plus 4.5. Next.
I actually have Cleveland -1 at New Orleans. So
the Saints got, hear me out here, Damonza, because Damonza doesn't like this one. The Saints got the fired coach bounce. They hated Dennis Allen. He got out of there. They get the win. If you watch that game, Atlanta had a lot of opportunities to win that football game and blew it, and Koo had a tough game. Cleveland, coming off a bye, had shown signs of life with Jameis. I do not think New Orleans' offensive line is going to be able to handle the Browns' defensive front, especially Myles Garrett looking better and playing better. The pre-bye after being not great, dealing with some injuries earlier. So you have Cleveland off a bye. You have a Saints team that I think is truly bad. Not going to have Chris Olave. No one on the outside to really threaten you down the field at all. Derek Carr getting skittish in the pocket thanks to Myles Garrett. And a Cleveland team that since they made the change to Jameis Winston, what's the game Deshaun got hurt? Did Deshaun get hurt in he got hurt. Deshaun got hurt in the Bengals game, and they went to Dorian Thompson-Robinson and then to Jameis. Cleveland beat Baltimore and then played poorly against the Chargers. I don't believe New Orleans is going to have the level of energy they had last week, and I think Cleveland's better than them. I'm just picking a winner here, and post-bye, Cleveland's the healthiest they've been all year. Stefanski 3-1 in his career off a bye, and the Saints, since the last 6 years, they're one of the worst teams in the league against the spread at home. All those things. I like Cleveland to win this game. I'm only laying a point. This is a game, I'll be honest, I don't plan to watch. if I can help it, I won't watch a second of this game, but I like Cleveland -1 at New Orleans. Next.
All right, so next you got Atlanta +2.5 at Denver.
Yeah, so this is a weird one because Atlanta can't get a pass rush at all. So you do feel like Bo Nix is going to be able to move the ball a bit. And Denver's defense obviously is excellent. It's been excellent all year. However, Atlanta has won, going into this past week against New Orleans, had won 5 of 6. Offense had been explosive. The Saints game, again, as I mentioned, I think they blew it. The Saints got that, had the energy of getting rid of Dennis Allen, but Atlanta still had plenty of chances there. I think Atlanta is a good team. I think Denver is the best of the bad teams, but Atlanta's actually a good team. And Atlanta bounce back spot. Denver, I think there is a real psychological aftershock of the way they lost to the Chiefs. And I was not impressed by the Denver offense. I was impressed by the Denver defense, and I know people want me to give Bo Nix more credit. I just think he's been fine. But Atlanta getting 2.5 points in a game that feels like is a coin flip game and absolutely could be a down 1 field goal at the gun type of game for either team, like a lot of these Atlanta games are, is the right side of it. Atlanta also is in a position where they are in a good position in the division, but Tampa's schedule the rest of the way is the worst in football. Tampa the rest of the way, Giants, Panthers, Raiders, Chargers, Cowboys, Panthers, Saints. So Tampa, aside from the Chargers game, plays 6 games against the worst teams in the NFL. And you get 2 games against the Cowboys in their current state, Giants, Raiders, and Saints. So Atlanta knows, even though they have a cushion in that division, Tampa's going to start stacking wins. I like Atlanta to win this game. I certainly like them +2.5. And that's the 4th pick. And the 5th one's going to be pretty obvious given what we discussed at the top of the show.
Yeah, you've got a Kansas City +2.5 against Buffalo.
Yeah, so Mahomes has been an underdog 14 times in his career. He's 11-3, 12-1-1 against the spread. The 3 losses are the following. 2018 against New England, that game at the 2-minute warning was 40-40. New England hits a field goal at the gun to beat them. 2018, the famous Monday Night Football game against the Rams, that game at the 2-minute warning was 51-47 Kansas City. And the Rams scored a touchdown with a minute left to win. And 2022 against Buffalo, that game at the 2-minute warning was 20-17 Chiefs. And Buffalo scored a touchdown in the waning moments to win the game. Point is this. 14 times Patrick Mahomes has been an underdog. 11 times he has won outright. The other 3, he has either been tied or leading with 2 minutes left. It is just an absurdity to go against Mahomes in this spot. And here is the really remarkable thing about this, Damonza. This will be the 5th time Mahomes and the Chiefs have been underdogs since they last lost a game. They last lost a game on Christmas Day. They were underdogs in the divisional round against Buffalo, in the AFC Championship game against Baltimore, in the Super Bowl against the Niners, a few weeks ago against the Niners, and now against Buffalo. So they don't lose, but a third of the time Vegas thinks they will. I'll take the Chiefs +2.5, and I'll feel really good about it. So our 5 picks this week are as follows. Pittsburgh getting 3 at home against Baltimore. New England getting 4.5 at home against the Rams. Cleveland laying 1 on the road at New Orleans. Atlanta getting 2.5 at Denver. And Kansas City getting 2.5 at Buffalo. Now, for the main event, Damonza's teaser, having won 6 of 7, just red hot. Last week hit his first 3-teamer. You deserve it. You hit a 3-teamer, and not only did you hit it, Damonza, it would have won as a parlay. You bought all these points. You didn't need them. You had Cincinnati teased up to plus 13. They covered the 6. Pittsburgh teased up to plus 10. They covered the 3. Tampa Bay teased up to plus 13. They covered the 6. That is what we call an A-plus teaser. What are you going with this week?
This week, we've got a 2-team 7.5-point teaser at minus 163. So the obvious, Kansas City, we're teasing them up to 10. And then Pittsburgh up to 10.5 versus Baltimore. So that's the teaser that we're going with. And then we have a super
Hold on,
teaser.
before we move
go ahead.
Wait,
Yeah,
before
go
we move on to the super teaser, the Pittsburgh, even though I like Pittsburgh plus 3, it worries
both of
me
your
a
picks
bit.
are in here. I just teased them. Yeah, it's got 2
Yeah,
here.
but even though I like Pittsburgh plus 3, I oddly don't love them as a teaser leg, only because Baltimore has shown the ability to blow people out.
Yeah.
And so
and 10 is.
I'm always a little afraid of teasing against Baltimore because at times they just dog walk you. But all right, so that's your teaser. I'll give that an A-. But you said you have something else as well.
Yeah,
so let me hear
we've got a super teaser for Week 11 for those that like to live dangerously. We've got a 4-team 7.5-point teaser at plus 170, and it's the same. We're gonna keep Kansas City and Pittsburgh in there, but we're gonna add Jacksonville at plus 21 against Detroit, and then Seattle plus 14 at San Francisco. Yeah, listen.
I
know
don't
Mac Jones
like
is
this
playing.
one.
Yeah,
I don't like this one.
This one doesn't count against my record. This is just for
A
fun
fun
one. The
flyer?
one that you guys
Okay,
count
yeah.
me on is the first one.
That's fine.
yeah,
Yeah,
just
I mean,
put
I
the
just
word out.
the Mac Jones. I mean, I feel like Detroit could score 24 and cover the 21 that they'd be laying in this scenario, and the Seattle, it's just consistently has a lot of trouble with Shanahan's Niners.
San Fran,
Niners move
yeah.
the ball on them. I thought
I'm
you were
just
going to
seeing.
tease.
I feel like the Niners are regressing a little bit though, even with getting.
No,
CMC back.
I agree with you entirely. I thought you were going to have the Texans tease down to a pick 'em against Dallas and Cooper Rush.
Yeah,
in
that's
one of
fair.
these.
I trust
Micah
Pittsburgh
against that
and
offensive
Tomlin
line.
to not get exploited like the other team. I don't think Baltimore. They show the ability to blow teams out, but I can't see them doing that to the Steelers. I think they've got something real going on over there, and it's divisional.
I obviously like it because I've got them plus the 3. It just makes me nervous as a teaser leg. All right, what's the offer this week?
So we are heading into the NBA Cup this week, and we're picking a couple of group winners. So New York, not New York. I'll go Knicks, Cleveland, and OKC to win their groups is plus 700. And yeah, do you have any NBA Cup predictions? Sorry,
I don't actually. I'll be honest with you. I don't have any NBA Cup predictions. I'm going to do a different offer this week. Which is not NBA Cup related. Travis Kelce anytime touchdown. He scored last week. He could have scored twice. He's the bane of the Bills' existence. I like a Kelce anytime touchdown. I assume that's probably like plus 130 would be my guess. The producers can tell me in my ear. That's the offer that I'm presenting to the audience. I don't really do player props, but that's the one I'll do. All right, quick plus 140. So it's about what I thought. Quick break. Answer some listener questions next. What's right? All right, welcome back in. What's right with Nick Wright, Damonza? Let's answer some listener questions.
AJ Fig says, will the Chiefs try to go 17-0 or they start Carson Wentz for Christmas?
I hope they start Carson Wentz on Christmas, and you still try to go 17-0, try to win that game. But playing 1 p.m. on a Wednesday, if you're 15-0 to chase the record, is not worth it when you're going for a three-peat, in my opinion. Next.
Danny Tanner, do you think not Danny Tanner. Horton GMR, is this 7-4 Lakers start viable or is it fool's gold? Can LeBron keep up this pace?
I mean, LeBron's playing unbelievable. It's a little fool's gold in that I think they have some of the worst depth of any team that's trying to be a real team. I mean, the Gabe Vincent he just can't play. They're playing Koloko. Jackson Hayes got hurt, and that's like a big loss for them. He's barely an NBA rotation guy. But LeBron and AD have been unbelievable. All right, next.
Now Danny Tanner. Do you think the Cardinals could be a sleeper team in the NFC?
Yeah, I actually do. And I said it earlier this week. I'll say it again. I think that they're going to be in that divisional race the rest of the year. I think Week 18 is going to be Cardinals-Niners Sunday Night Football with the division on the line. Next.
Alex Petrovitz, Nick. A lot of people are out on the Texans. They already beat the Bills and should have beaten the Lions. With a healthy Nico, could you see them having a 2021 Bengals type run?
I don't think they're going to have a 2021 Bengals get all the way to the Super Bowl type of run, but I do think Nico Collins coming back is going to make the offense look a hell of a lot better. And when Joe Mixon's healthy and Nico Collins is healthy, that offense is elite. And so I think people maybe are a little too down on Houston right now. I just think they're a B plus. I don't think they're an A-level team. I think they're a B plus, and I think that's solid. Like you're just building something there. Next.
Adam Del Guidus. Geez, the names today. I'm sorry, guys.
The
Nick,
names are tough today.
Would you rather be a Super Bowl winning quarterback who is average like Flacco, Brad Johnson, Jeff Hostetler, or an all-time Hostetler? Yeah, or an all-time great quarterback who never won a ring like like Marino or Jim Kelly.
I mean, to me, that's no question. You'd rather be an all-time great. Dan Marino is one of the greatest players in the history of the league. Brad Johnson is just a guy who was on the Bucs when they won the Super Bowl. So, that is, to me, it's more, the more interesting question is, would you rather be to go to the NBA like Charles Barkley, one of the greatest players ever, but who never won a championship, or Klay Thompson, a Hall of Famer, but not all-timer, but you have a handful of championships? That's a real question. You know what I mean? That, to me, there's a real pro and con to that. But being just a guy that happened to win a Super Bowl versus being a Hall of Famer all-time legend is, to me, it's not even
Who would you say
not even
has
debatable.
a bigger legacy, Klay Thompson or Charles Barkley? Well, obviously it's Charles Barkley, but it's but that's the question. I feel like.
Right. That's what I'm saying. That's a real debate. And so would you? Let me think of an NFL. That's a off-season discussion. But to me, just being a guy who happened to be on a team that won a Super Bowl is not nearly the same. Dan Marino is one of the 10 greatest quarterbacks of all time. All right, great job today, Damonza. Good luck to everyone's bets. No TV show today. Be back on the air Friday. So Friday, see you guys Friday on First Things First. And don't forget, rate, subscribe, review, YouTube, podcast, leave 5 stars, hit the bell, do all that. Talk to you guys Friday. What's right? Hey, thanks for watching. If you're still here, do me a favor. Hit the subscribe button, then hit the bell so you can be notified when we have new episodes. After you've done that, one more favor, go to your favorite audio platform of choice and subscribe there as well. Don't forget, We're live every Tuesday and Thursday, 10:30 a.m. Eastern-ish. 10:35, 10:40, it sometimes changes, but that's why you hit the bell. You hit the bell so you're notified. You subscribe so we can get to 200,000 followers. We're right around 150,000. We'd love to get to 200,000, get Damonza another plaque. So like, subscribe, rate, send a rating too. Do all that cool stuff. Thanks, guys.